everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for attending the Education USA Virtual Fair. My name is Kaya Koban. I'm the Education USA advisor to Moldova, and we have a great panel here. So I'd like to present all of them, and then they will share about themselves and their schools just for a couple of minutes. So we have Colleen Gray from the College of Lake County. We have Christopher Toribo from Orange Coast County, and then we have Matthew Soy from Seattle Colleges. Hope I'm saying all of your names right. So, Colleen, how about you take it away first?
Hi, my name is Colleen Gray, and I'm the International Student Recruiter at the College of Lake County. I've been doing recruitment for 3 years for the College of Lake County, and it's located just north of Chicago.
Christopher?
Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Toribio. I represent Orange Coast College, which is a two-year community college located in Costa Mesa, California. I also serve as the president of the International Association for College Admissions Counseling. Orange Coast College is located in California, in the city of Costa Mesa, between Los Angeles and San Diego. We're close to Disneyland, close to the beach. We serve 22,000 students from 80 different countries, and we're very comprehensive. We offer more than 135 different majors and programs at OCC. Thank you for having us, and I look forward to speaking to all of you.
And Matthew, last but not least.
Thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Matthew Desoy, and I am the Associate Director for International Marketing at Seattle Colleges, which is a district of 3 separate community colleges here in the city of Seattle. Like my colleagues, we offer traditionally the first 2 years of a bachelor's degree. We offer almost every major subject. Computer science, engineering, and business tend to be our top 3.
All right, so students, just a reminder, if you do have questions, please feel free to write them down. But I do have some questions that I know many of you will probably have in case you are nervous to ask. So very first basic question, in case anyone missed the panel beforehand, what is a community college? Just so we can explain, because college means a lot of different things in our part of the world. So Colleen, could you possibly just explain briefly what that means?
A community college is where you attend your first 2 years of your bachelor's degree. So you have your 100 level and 200 level courses. And community colleges in the United States serve the areas of that their surroundings. And they provide like both vocational and academic courses. And typically they are 1/3 or 1/4 the price of a university. And most American students start out at a community college to take their basic gen eds before they transfer to a university. So that's how you get the 2+2 system. Christoph, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, you totally nailed it on the head. But community colleges are very common higher educational institutions in the US. In fact, there are 1,000 community colleges for you to choose from that comprises of 1/4 of the total number of colleges and universities in the US. Community colleges are very common. In fact, 50% of American students will begin their undergraduate studies at a community college, and there's roughly about 96,000 international students currently studying at community college right now. In fact, in a lot of your countries, a lot of students from your countries, community college is actually the most popular option for students to pursue higher education. So they're very common. Colleen mentioned it's the 2+2 model. So for you to obtain a bachelor's degree, you need 4 years of your undergraduate study. So you complete year 1 and year 2, then transfer year 3 and 4 to complete your bachelor's degree.
Matthew, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think my colleague summed it up very well. The only thing I'll add is there are sometimes differences between community colleges as much as there are the things that make us very similar. I think the one thing that really binds us all together really is affordability. Affordability is one of the biggest draws, really, no matter where you go with community college. We probably all have slightly different costs, but generally, as both Chris and Colleen have said, they are very, very affordable options, very low tuition, especially compared to many university counterparts around the US.
Right. So a second question, I guess, to piggyback on that is, in addition to maybe making it more affordable, what are some other benefits of maybe starting at a community college and then transferring? because a lot of students do, want to know. So whether it's, smaller classroom size or a lot of things having to do with test taking, do you need to take the same test that you would normally when applying to a four-year college or university?
I know that from our college, we teach English language instruction, so we don't require the IELTS or TOEFL, but that's not necessarily for all community colleges. Not all of them have the English language programming, and some of them do require exam scores. At my community college, we do a lot of in-person interaction with our students, so we have like more of like an international student family. We only have about 100 international students, so we're not like a very large international student school. But that also means that we get to know each individual student very well. And they also have an international student advisor that kind of tracks them to make sure that they're enrolled. So there's a lot of interaction, support, which is very helpful, especially for students that are younger who are leaving the house at like 17. They want to start school. Going to a community college will give them the emotional and academic support that they would need.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah, I like to highlight really relatively easy admission requirements, especially when you compare to universities. Universities can be very competitive, depending on which one. They can be really competitive environments. They don't always have to be, but the nice thing about community college is that we generally are non-competitive environments, which means we accept 100% of students that complete the application process. And so we're really there to really give students that the first 2 years at an affordable cost in a welcoming environment, and in a place that's really going to be very accepting no matter of their financial background, their education background. And so for most community colleges, it's relatively few admission requirements. In most cases, you don't have to do standardized testing. In a lot of cases, you don't have to submit any type of personal statement, letters of recommendation. Again, I can't speak for every community college, but in most cases, the admission requirements are very few.
Okay.
That's really great information. I actually wanted to add the fact that transferring is very common, and I actually want to normalize it. It's just as common for students to transfer from a community college than it is to apply to university from high school. So I always tell students, when you're looking at the admissions requirements for a university that you may be looking at, look at both the transfer and the freshman admissions requirements and compare. And like Matthew said, transfer oftentimes is a lot less selective than applying as a first-year institution, especially if that university is looking at a holistic picture of your application that you may not have for secondary school. I also want to add other benefits of community college is that we're a university. So we're university studies. We're not a foundation program. It doesn't necessarily mean just because we're affordable, the quality is less. In fact, many of our professors also teach at neighboring universities, so you still get the same level of instruction. You are going to be challenged in your classrooms because you're taking the same classes as other students at the universities because it's taught by the same people. The professors have a lot of wealth of experience, both academically and professionally. And one benefit to community college is learn by doing. It's not just studying from the textbook. By serving such a diversity of students, we also serve a diversity of learning styles. And one of the benefits of community college is that you really get to apply what you're learning. So when you're transferring to a university, you do have that advantage over students who are primarily just studying from the textbooks and really haven't applied what they learned outside of the classroom.
So speaking about learning outside of the classroom, one of the questions is, do community college offer internships, or is there any sort of, maybe work study available?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to add to that too. So with a lot of our professors teaching at universities, they bring the research opportunities to the community college students. There's a wealth of opportunities outside of the classroom they can involve in, whether it's internship opportunities, club activities. There's a lot of opportunities. I mean, there's also on-campus jobs that you can do. So if you think we don't have it, we most likely have it at a community college.
Oh, perfect. I'll just say as well, I went to community college, you guys, so
Okay.
and then straight to four-year institution. So it's definitely possible. It's a great experience. So for those of you thinking about it and the who are watching, please consider it. Colleen, were you going to add something?
I already forgot. I'm sorry.
I'll
So
add just the fact that, one of the nice things about community college, there's a lot of different pathways that, and kind of, it's like a puzzle piece and it fits into a much bigger puzzle. But one of the nice things is that a lot of students, they come and they are looking for some type of work experience, whether through an internship or a job. And one of the nice things is that after you complete an associate degree, you do have access to OPT for 12 months before you actually continue your education in year 3. So you have options for students that really want to go directly through all 4 years and complete the bachelor's degree kind of in one fell swoop. That is possible. You can go, excuse me, you can do 2 years with us, 2 years at university, and then do OPT. But you also have the opportunity to do 2 years of study through the associate degree program at a community college, then do 1 year of OPT, then continue on with your education for year 3 and 4, and then actually you can do another year of OPT after the bachelor's degree level. So there's a lot of ways to fit it in, but you can get internship and work experience throughout the education.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to tests. We were talking about tests earlier. A lot of students want to know, do they have to retake any of these standardized tests like a TOEFL or an SAT when they transfer to the four-year institution from a community college?
Good question. There are very few universities that will require students to take the SAT or TOEFL. And these are typically very selective universities that students would apply to as a transfer. But for the most part, one of the biggest benefits of attending a community college is that standardized tests would not be required for students to transfer.
Okay. And then can I transfer anywhere, or do I have to stay in the same state?
Our community college systems kind of enable students to go anywhere they want in the United States, but there are particular like guaranteed transfer admission programs that some of our states and community colleges have developed. So we have a guaranteed transfer admission program to DePaul University. So if you know you want to go to DePaul University, we know the criteria and we'll assist that student with making sure they fit that criteria and apply and get into the program that they desire to get into. But if they wanted to go somewhere else, they can also go somewhere else because community college credits are public institutions. Their credits are easily transferable.
Okay. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
here in Washington State, we have a lot of partnerships with both public and private universities, and the partnerships really do expand beyond the state. Here in Washington, we have guaranteed partnerships with a lot of different universities across the state of Washington, the state of Oregon, but we do partner with universities in California, and actually all across the U.S. geographically. So I think one of the most important things when you're considering a community college is that, one of the biggest misconceptions I always hear is they think that if they start at community college, they have to go to some certain group of universities. That really is a misconception. You really can transfer from community college to any university. However, you do have to be able to gain admission. Community colleges cannot guarantee admission to every university that exists. And a lot of universities will be more selective and highly competitive. But the point is you can transfer in theory, but there are options to make that process easier for you. There are partnerships that we have. I'm sure I'll kind of let Chris take it away because California has a really robust system for partnerships. But really, I think the point is that you can transfer wherever you're able to gain admission, but community colleges are going to have a lot of resources to help you out when it comes to partnerships and transfer pathways that are on the easier side.
Yeah. Chris, did you want to add to that?
Actually, no, that hits it right on the head. I mean, like you can definitely transfer anywhere. And I think with community colleges that have really great support for international students, we do understand your needs. As a student who is transferring to a four-year university, we're being very proactive to provide a diversity of university options for you, whether it's within our state or outside of the state or private, as we do understand that international students that we host come from a diversity of backgrounds. So one of the things that many community colleges do is that we connect with our four-year university colleagues to ensure that we provide that diversity, especially if you have financial need. Yes, you can transfer anywhere. Like I mentioned before, I want to normalize this process for students to automatically think that and know that you can transfer to any university in college and apply as a transfer student. Like you're applying to university after high school, it's that normal.
Perfect. Bo, I understand there was maybe some technical difficulties. If you could introduce yourself and a little bit about the University of Rhode
Yes, apologies. We've had an internet outage after a storm, so I apologize for the delay. But my name is Dr. Bo Gilly. I work for the University of Rhode Island, which is located in historic New England, close to the oceans. We're a R1 research institution, received funding from Land, Sea, and Urban Grant Education. And we're located in a very rural environment with lots of partnerships and articulation agreements with community colleges across the country. So thank you for the introduction. Again, my apologies for the delay.
No, so we were just thinking about those articulation agreements and how, transferring works. I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to add coming from the university side and how that works, or, maybe what you're looking for or how you work with community colleges to make that transition easier.
Sure. So really the most important part about working with any institution where transferring is the intention at the end of the day is to have clearly articulated transfer credit policies. Many of our schools will post a service called TESS, which is the transfer evaluation system. And if you've mentioned this, I apologize. But in a TESS system, universities will have all of the credit that has been accepted from other schools around the country listed and equated to schools, in my case, at the University of Rhode Island. So for instance, if a student was at a community college in Seattle for a biology 316, we would have in our database available for students to view what that course would be equivalent to at the University of Rhode Island. And so when you're making very intentional choices about studying at either a community college or a four-year university like URI, this is really a valuable part of your research and data collection to make sure that your degree will, your credits will transfer over and your degree will be completed in as most expeditiously as possible.
Perfect. So speaking about degrees, can you earn an associate's degree and then still transfer to a four-year institution and then get that bachelor's degree? Or are you just transferring without an associate's? What are the possible scenarios here that you could do?
So for us, 24 or more credits does count as a transfer student. So that would mean that a student would come in to their second year, sophomore year of schooling. With an associate's degree, yes, a student can start and complete the remaining half of their credits at the university. That would be about 60 credits. So associate degrees are great, particularly for admission purposes, because for URI, if a student has an associate's degree, we don't need to see any of their secondary school coursework. We rely solely on the fact that they've achieved that credential, that associate's degree credential, as part of the admission process. So it's a great option, a very affordable option. I know in my conversations with students, I know that funding education is a challenge. And so I'm sure my colleagues have also pointed out that it's a great option, lower tuition, community college for an associate's degree, and then just 2 years to complete that bachelor's.
So, or people from the community colleges, do you guys encourage students getting an associate's degree, or do you kind of just work individually with every student to find a best plan? Is there any one way that you guys tend to go?
Yeah, I mean, we do work with the students' individual needs, but we do highly encourage students to complete their associate's degree for many different reasons. One is to transfer, and not every associate degree seeking student is looking to transfer. So we do encourage students to at least complete that degree. International students, like Matthew mentioned, can do OPT, which is a big advantage for students to do that as a gap before their transfer. And on a personal note, graduation rates is where we get our funding. So yes, we would want students to at least complete their associate's degree or their certificate at our school.
I was just going to say that Chris is totally right. If most community college representatives are going to tell you that they would highly encourage you to complete the associate degree, just because I think there are a lot of benefits to, remaining and building a community at the community college level, making friends and building trust with a lot of different faculty members. There's a lot of benefits to staying for the full 2 years and then transferring, but it is possible to transfer beforehand. And that's where we work with the students individually to figure out what's best for them.
Okay. And like what Christopher said, that we deal with each student individually, and there are some students that do just come to community colleges to get certificates, like in for example, automotive technology. So they're not even seeking to maybe even transfer out.
Okay. Yeah. So there's technical programs that you can do instead. Always a big question. What about financial aid? Is it available through community college? We'll start there and then talk about transfer. But how does financial aid or scholarships work at community colleges? I know it's a hard one. Anyone
I
think it's different. Really, this is one of those questions where each institution really probably is very different. From my perspective at Seattle colleges, we don't offer financial aid to international students, and we don't have any need-based scholarships. We do have certain small merit-based scholarships that students can apply for once they are here. But yeah, at Seattle colleges, we don't have any financial aid or need-based scholarships for international students.
Like Matthew, we don't really have any financial aid. We do have scholarships that are a merit-based after they've completed 30 credits, and then we are starting a foundation for our international students and trying to give them $1,000 for their first year scholarship. But that's because we're a small school, and that would not be something that would be doable at a larger, once we started to have more than 100 international students.
I think attending a community college itself is already a financial aid opportunity, just because of our significant lower cost of attendance. And it is true, a lot of community colleges cannot provide full financial aid scholarships or have very limited financial aid and scholarships. But your scholarship is only really as good as its value. So not necessarily. So I know a lot of students, they get turned off when we say that we don't have scholarships, but you have to look at the overall picture, right? So it's only as good as it's worth. So therefore, when I tell students, community colleges cannot offer you scholarships for the most part, but we can at least guarantee low cost tuition. So use this as an opportunity to really diversify and broaden your application choices and your university choices. So therefore, you apply to universities with a community college, knowing that you know exactly how much you're going to cost. When you get all of your admissions offers, that's when you start to compare. So you might have a significant scholarship from a university, but in the end, a community college might be a lot more affordable. So look at it from that lens instead of just approaching us, asking us for scholarships. And if we say no, then not look at us at all. Because really, if you look at the cost savings at a community college, even if you transfer to university with no scholarships, is very, very significant for many students.
Yeah. So now let's talk about, I think everyone wants to get financial aid after you've transferred at a four-year institution. So is that possible? Is it different scholarships that you might be entitled to or have to apply to? Maybe.
Yes, so I will say transferring out to the university side, most schools are different in terms of the merit opportunities that they offer. Fewer and fewer schools these days, I would say on the whole, do offer need-based aid for international students. Certainly, our domestic student populations can take advantage of federal programs for aid, which is wonderful. However, and unfortunately, those are restricted to students with U.S. citizenship or permanent residency or refugee status. So really, the only opportunities available to students to receive aid, again, anecdotally at least, is primarily merit-based scholarships. And we look at them as tuition reductions. So a percentage of your tuition would be reduced as a result of receiving a merit award. The University of Rhode Island, for example, our highest scholarships constitute about a 30% discount in tuition. That doesn't include room and board. So you want to make sure that you understand as you're going through the number crunching that a tuition discount applies to tuition and not necessarily for your living costs and expenses.
Okay, good to know. There was some questions earlier in the chat. One question was, do you have further education? Meaning, I think she wants to know, can she earn a degree or some sort of certificate to teach English as a second language? So instead of learning English as a second language, teaching English. Is there, or have you guys heard of anything like this, or kind of any sort of similar certificate program? Maybe.
So this would be the TESOL. It's referred to as TESOL, Teaching English as a Second Language. I can say University of Rhode Island does offer this particular program, and I'm sure other institutions around the table today in the greater fair would offer them as well.
Okay, so I think that, yeah, she was referring to TESOL. So, and then another student, I think in a interesting situation. So it sounds like is currently studying at a university and then will graduate with an MA and then wants to study further. So have you guys heard of situations where maybe students with, a bachelor's degree or a master's will go back to community college, maybe earn an associate's or do something at a community college, maybe further study somehow?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
that's very common, actually. We have a number of students, of international students that already have degrees, but they come to community college for a certificate or another associate's degree. It's something completely different or something to supplement their career studies. So yes, absolutely. And we do encourage that for students to take advantage of those opportunities just because of the wide range of programs that we do offer. But yes, you can absolutely do. And actually, we do have some students too needing prerequisites for graduate school at the undergraduate level. So they'll attend a community college because it's a lot more affordable to do it that way. And so they'll work with the university that they're looking to transfer to as a graduate student, identify the classes that they need at our community college, and they'll complete that degree, and they'll move on to the university for their graduate studies.
Okay. A couple questions again about work study. So to repeat, I believe it's my understanding all of you guys offer opportunities to either do internships or work study on campus. One very specific question, do you guys organize job fairs to help students get internships or OPT or maybe have working relationships with local area companies, anything like that?
Yeah, we do that. We do have them like specifically tied to maybe their major, and those are usually targeted to all of our students, which would include our international students. And then we have certain articulations with universities that will provide an internship opportunity as well. And then most of our students that want to work on campus or have on-campus jobs are able to work and find a job on campus because since we're so large, we need additional workers.
Yeah, I always like to highlight the fact that most institutions of higher education are going to have some sort of career center on campus. Community colleges, like Seattle colleges, we have one, and they really are there as a resource to students, both American students and international students, to help them just access internships, jobs for OPT, things like that. So, when you are here on campus, definitely seek out some sort of career services or career center on campuses, or excuse me, on campus, because they are there to really help in that way.
And also our professors are industry professionals, so they have a lot of leads. So for a lot of students working really closely with the professor, whether it's through like a research opportunity or anything like that, that's where a lot of our students will find those opportunities for just internships and jobs for OPT.
Some questions about test scores and things. I will say for all of the students who are watching, try to just do your best and to do the best, achieve the best scores that you can do. These are very specific. So I think in a very roundabout way, if you guys want to tackle some of these questions, are you guys seeking anything in particular? Do students want to know what makes a good portfolio? How can you get full scholarships? And I know full scholarships are much more rare than I think people think. I don't think universities are handing out as much money as people think they are. But if you guys want to just kind of hint on that, I know it's always a big question with the international students, like what is that number that they need to hit in order to, be the most competitive?
At our community college, we don't offer any full scholarships to any students. So we kind of have like an open door policy where we allow everybody to have admission. And they would eventually have to apply for merit-based scholarships after they've taken credits. But we don't require like SAT or high IELTS or TOEFL exam scores.
Yeah, we're the same here at Seattle Colleges. We have no requirements for any type of standardized testing. You can submit your score report from an exam like the TOEFL or the IELTS if you've taken it, and that can allow you to have direct placement, either in our English language program or the college level directly. We also accept the SAT if you've taken it for English proficiency, so it's just another tool in your toolbox, but it's not a requirement. We don't require the SAT or the TOEFL or the IELTS for admission. For example, for English proficiency here at Seattle Colleges, we do offer an on-campus English language test when you arrive. So it's really up to you, depending on what country you come from. If visa issuances can be a little bit more difficult, sometimes I recommend an exam like the TOEFL or the IELTS because it really does show the embassy and the officer that you're speaking with that there's a more investment, especially if you've already placed at the college level. But depending on what country you're from, some countries it's a little bit easier to get a visa, and therefore you can choose to do that on-campus English language test when you arrive. So it is up to you as the applicant in most cases, in most community colleges, to decide whether you will take an exam for English proficiency or do some sort of on-campus option if it's available.
Kaya, are you also asking like scholarship tips in general, like full-ride scholarships for like for students from looking at like universities and stuff? Because I do have a tip and some perspective on full-ride scholarships. So I'm going to speak very generally about full-ride scholarships. They're very, very rare in the US. There's not that many full-ride scholarships to go around. And you need to kind of think of it from this lens, right? When universities are giving full-ride scholarships to students, they're basically investing that you're going to give back to the university through your contributions as a student and so forth. So you really have to ask yourself, when you're looking for a full-ride scholarship, what makes me special enough that this university is going to pay me to attend? So ask yourself that question. And it's more than just going to be your test scores. It's going to look at the overall picture. And a lot of it has to do with qualities of leadership, qualities of being proactive, qualities of contributing to the school and your community. So there's a lot of different factors outside of test scores that will have an institution offer you a full ride scholarship. But to be perfectly honest, you have to set that expectation that these things are very, very rare and typically given to students who they know, the universities know is going to give back to their institution.
Yeah. A reminder, students, like each consular affairs office is, you need to be in touch with that person at your U.S. Embassy or Consular Affairs. Every person is very different in how they issue visas, what they're looking for. So we cannot delve into each particular country and like what, how you'll be able to get a visa. We don't know. We don't have those capabilities. For one of the other questions I'll just tackle, every school is different with SATs and what they require. And right now, still living in kind of a pandemic situation, a lot of schools are still going test optional. So again, for those asking if SAT is required for every university, that is unfortunately something you're going to have to look up for every institution that you are interested in applying for. I would err on saying just take it, the SAT, because many schools will require it for merit-based scholarships, so they don't need it. They don't require for admissions, but if you were looking for merit-based scholarships, they might be, somewhere on a financial aid page. Oh, you need that SAT. So if you do have access to take it, I would recommend that you do. In the event that there's a school you find out you want to apply to and, they require the SAT. And then if you hadn't taken it because all of your other schools didn't require it, this is where having done it already can be helpful. So
there's a really good resource actually that if students want to bookmark. It's a website called fairtest.org. It has the most updated list of institutions that are currently test optional, and that's constantly being updated. So if students want to refer to that website, it's Fairtest, so it's FAIR test.org. So check out that website for the latest information what institutions are currently test optional.
Perfect. One question. So do colleges need any English proficiency exam if the student already has a bachelor's degree from an institute with English language of instruction? So very specific, but I guess in general, if you already have a bachelor's degree, do you need to take an English proficiency?
I think that would be dependent on each applicant and if that applicant is where they received their bachelor's degree in. Again, like we don't require those exam scores, but like Matthew said, if you have a degree in English language instruction and you want to come to a community college, you need to probably show that you have a TOEFL or IELTS score. Otherwise, you have a high visa rate of denial. So I would highly recommend them.
Yeah, and the answer to this question, I think, can be quite dependent on the institution itself. A lot of different community colleges and universities are going to have different policies here. At Seattle Colleges, we do have a list of countries that we consider kind of native English speakers, and it's something that was developed by the state of Washington. And so, if you went to you went to a college or university and you ended up taking an English composition course and passing that at a university or college in one of these native English speaking countries, we do accept that. But the list, unfortunately, in my opinion, is much shorter than it should be. And so it's kind of the thing that it really can depend on a lot of factors. It's the kind of thing you should definitely inquire about with the institution, because even between community colleges to universities, we all might have slightly different policies when it comes to this.
Yeah, remember, guys, we don't have like a Ministry of Education, so every state, every school can do kind of whatever they want. So we make it really difficult for you guys. So we do appreciate your efforts when researching institutions and coming to fairs like this. Yeah, I did want to switch to maybe something a little fun. College campus is different. Some community colleges have kind of like a large atmosphere, small atmosphere. Is there anything that you guys offer? Is there on-campus housing or sports or any kind of like clubs that you guys offer that you don't think about or realize community colleges offer versus a university?
That is a fun question. Anyone?
And on some.
I'll take a shot. We here at Seattle Colleges, one of the things that I always like to highlight is that we have 3 campuses. That's something that's unique about representing a community college district. There are 3 campuses we have in the city of Seattle. We kind of have an urban campus right in the city center and 2 kind of suburban campuses. They are within the city limits, but a bit farther outside of the city center. So just 3 different environments that can be offered here in the city of Seattle. So that's one interesting thing, just the different neighborhoods, the different environments. So if you are the kind of student that fits really well into a very lively, busy city center type campus, we can really help fit those needs. But if you really like to be close to a city, but and have access to the things that a city has to offer, but like to be a little bit farther out in a quieter area, we can also serve that as well. We've got lots of clubs on campus. We don't do any sports, but I also know some of the community colleges here in the Seattle area do have competitive athletic teams. So it really does depend, it can be case by case to the community college.
We have competitive sports, and we have our international students. We have one that's on the basketball team, one that's playing baseball, and then we have another one that's playing tennis. They just have to try out like every other student. Because it's a community college, we make every student try out every year. So we can't guarantee that you'll make the team, but if you really try hard, you will, get, able to join. And then we develop our own international student programming where we do 2 activities a month where we go on, go to a museum together, or we have a potluck dinner or lunch together, basically just trying to facilitate like a family atmosphere of support.
Great.
There's a lot to unpack. Let's see. Well, community college. Well, Orange Coast College is very large. We're comprehensive. We have 22,000 students. We have 135 different programs, 80 buildings, and a maritime academy and on-campus housing. So we have a lot going on. I think one thing I want to share about the California community colleges in general is that we're actually the hidden gem of programs in the visual and performing arts. And most students don't think about that the community colleges in California have really robust programs in those areas of studying. We don't even require a portfolio for you to do so. And if you look at our long list of alumni that came from the visual and performing arts, it's quite extensive. But at OCC, we have really cool programs like 2D and 3D animation, digital sculpting. We have fashion design, interior design, where we teach students how to do interior design spaces for private boats and private yachts, because we have those on campus. A lot of different areas. We have a really good theater program, acting program. A lot of our students are auditioning to be in the industry, the industry. So yeah, if you're one of those students, one of our students from Russia, he was one of the contestants in The Voice Russia, a voice that reality show or something in Russia, The Voice. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do in the visual performing arts in California. At the California Community College, there's something to really consider.
Perfect. So there does seem to be a lot of I know students worry that, because they're not getting that university experience in the beginning, but it sounds like there are lots of different options. We do have one question in the chat. The student is bringing us back to real talk. The student wants to know, he is currently at Belarus, at a university, and then wants to know, is it possible to enter a community college program and doing 2+2? He's heard there's been some problems, but how do you guys handle current university students in the country where they're studying and then transferring into a college or university in the US? How do you look at those college credits from the home country?
Good question. That's a question that I get a lot, quite a bit from students. So yes, typically, if you are a student currently at a university and you would like to transfer to community college, or you're looking to go to university in the US, coming to community college can actually make that process a lot easier, as there might be some gaps in your transfer eligibility requirements that you can take at a community college. You can get your credits assessed to determine transfer credit, but you also have to keep in mind that for the most part, when you transfer to university, it's consideration of all your higher education work. So not just from the community college, but also from the university that you attended in your home country. So we work with students like that. If there's any gaps that they need to fulfill to transfer to make them eligible for transfer, we will help them out. If students are looking to transfer from their home university to a US university, to be honest, do it as early as possible. It might not be best to do it in your third year of university studies, but if you're a first year university student in your home country and looking to change, that's probably the best time to do it. But do you have anything to add to our colleagues here?
I think you summed that up.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we just we wouldn't have your credits evaluated by an international credit evaluator and see what courses would transfer over that fit within our courses.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add to any of this is just by saying that, as we've already talked about, the admission requirements, the application process to community college is relatively easy. So actually going through the application process, in most cases, it's not that big of a hurdle. So I would assume from what I've heard that all the community colleges at this panel will do some sort of preliminary evaluation. They're going to take a look during the application process, what courses you've taken before, and they'll give you a sense about how many of your credits will transfer, which will give you a sense about where you stand when it comes to how much you would have actually completed. And then just in that application process, you'll get a sense of whether, if you've almost completed through your second year, maybe coming to community college is a good idea, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's best to go direct to university. But participating in the application process in that way and getting that preliminary evaluation done, that could be a really big help in just determining how much time you have left before you would actually finish up with an associate degree and move on to year 3 at university.
Bo, anything to add maybe from the university perspective?
Sure. At the university level, most of our 2+2 programs are pre-articulated. So we would have an agreement with, as an example, Bermuda College, which is an associate's degree type institution in the Caribbean. And so students who follow a very set metrics of courses and complete those satisfactorily will be able to transfer into our marine biology program as a junior or third year student and complete their third and fourth year and graduate with a bachelor's degree in marine biology. We have some with international schools as well. So with a couple of universities in China, The same thing for business, 2 years at their home institution, 2 years here. And we're in the process of exploring 2+2 articulation with some institutions in Oregon. So again, it would be a very set number of courses and grades that need to be achieved at that community college prior to transferring in under the terms of the agreement, whereby you would immediately start your higher level coursework in your major content area. And most schools will have these and have them listed on their website about which articulations are exist and how to go about contacting the appropriate individuals at both schools.
Perfect. I know we are at time, so I just wanted to reiterate to the students, for any kind of like specific visa questions, please contact your consular affairs office or the U.S. Embassy closest to you. They're the ones who are really going to be able to answer those specific questions that you have. You know, and then for the rest of you, a lot of times you're going to research and do a lot of like Googling and figuring out different things, because we don't have a one-stop shop for U.S. higher education. But you're here at this fair, so take advantage, visit all the schools that you can in the booths, ask those questions that you really want to know about, the programs that you want to study. The reps are here to visit with you as well. So thank you to all of the panelists. Thank you for your time. And again, everyone enjoy the fair and visit the booths. Please, please, please take advantage of this great opportunity. So thank you so much. And I hope all of you enjoy the fair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.